Welcome back. In our last session, we looked at the big picture, the reproductive story that you've carried for years. Today, we're going to get closer. We're going to talk about the birth itself, but we're going to do it in a way that respects your nervous system. One of the hardest things about a confusing or traumatic birth is that the memory often feels like a broken mirror. It's jagged, it's out of order. You might remember the color of the nurse's scrubs, but you can't remember what time it was. You might feel a sudden flash of heat in your chest when you hear a certain sound, even months later. There is a biological reason for this. When we are in survival mode, our brain stops recording a chronological story and starts recording sensory fragments. Your brain isn't broken, it was just busy trying to keep track of you and your baby. It was trying to keep you and your baby safe. Today, we're going to use those fragments as a path back home. We're going to move from survival mode into connection mode by mapping what your senses recorded. Now, if you haven't experienced a live birth, if you've experienced a miscarriage or a stillbirth, or even if you have just gone through fertility struggles, you can still map out this event. The questions might just look a little bit different. This exercise can be found in the toolkit that is linked below. Find a place where your back is supported. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to just let the answers arrive. Don't reach for them. If a question feels too loud or too scary, just skip it and focus on your breathing. If you need to pause the recording to have enough time to answer, please do so. Close your eyes. We're going to focus on sight. When you think of the room where you gave birth, what is the first color you see? Was the light bright and clinical or dim and soft? Did you see the faces of people you trusted, or did you see the backs of people who were busy? Or did you see something entirely different than the kind of prompting answers I just gave? If we're looking at a loss or a struggle with infertility, I want you to think about a time when the weight of all of that really hit you, a time that really stands out to you. That weight could be a weight of joy, discovering that you were pregnant after a struggle with infertility. If you're adopting, the moment you got approved to adopt or got news that you would be adopting a child. Whatever this big moment is, you can ask yourself those same questions. Where were you? And what did you see? Next, we're going to look at sound. What was the soundtrack of that day? Did you hear a monitor? Did you hear silence? Did you hear your own voice? Did you feel connected to your voice, or did it feel kind of out of body? What is the one sound that when you hear it now makes your heart beat a little bit faster? Is it a good type of faster, or is it a scary type of faster? Now let's think about touch and the sensation that you feel physically. What did the air feel like on your skin? Was there a moment you felt a hand on yours? Did you feel the weight of a heavy blanket or the coldness of a metal rail? What physical sensations do you remember from this day? Now we're going to look at smell. Hospitals and birthing centers have specific scents. Trust me, as a doula, I know this. Even as a lactation consultant or lactation counselor, when I am going into the labor and delivery unit, it just has a specific smell. Can you recall the smell? Was it the soapy smell, the smell of your baby's skin, a drink that was brought to you, a juice or a coffee? Was it a medication? Was it an essential oil? What kind of scents did you notice? Now, as we map this out, it's important to take a deep breath and remember that right now you are in a safe place. The moment is not happening anymore. If you have a journal, I want you to take 2 minutes to write down the 3 strongest sensory memories that come up. You can pause the video to take time to do that. But as we start to visit this memory a little bit, I want you to remind yourself that we're visiting it. You are not there right now. Whether it was something joyous or something challenging, you don't have to fully immerse yourself. You are not there right now. It's important that when you tell the story, you tell your version first. You can find more on this in the toolkit. Often, well-meaning parents, mothers, doctors, close friends, they'll try to fix your memory. They'll say, well, actually the doctor was only in there for 5 minutes, or it wasn't as loud as you remember. I want you to give yourself permission to ignore them for just a moment. Your perception is the truth of your experience. If it felt like an hour, it was an hour, at least to your nervous system. Before you look at your medical records, which we discuss in step 3 in the toolkit, and before you ask your partner for their side, you must anchor yourself in your narrative. This protects your story from being overshadowed. When you are ready to hear from others, Use the prompt in the toolkit to ask specific, grounded questions. What did you notice that I might have missed? What was happening behind the scenes? What did the medical team say when they stepped out of the room? I fell in this trap even today, hearing a doctor whisper something outside of my exam room, and I don't even think that they said anything harmful. I think that we often associate a whisper with being negative when really they're trying to protect our privacy. And I had to kind of ground myself and figure out if I was just feeling anxious and irritable about my appointment or if something was actually said. Feeling is still valid, but one situation I might have to go to my doctor and talk to them about concerns about how I'm being viewed and the judgment I'm receiving. And one of them I might have to check in with myself and just focus on me in that incident. This doesn't just apply to the birth. For the parent, I think that these questions, right now we're focused on the birthing parent, but these questions also apply to the non-birthing parent. They can even apply to birth workers or people who are in the birthing room, like a doula, nurse, midwife, OB. There's this thing called vicarious trauma. It's when we experience trauma from witnessing something traumatic happening to someone else. And trauma is our response internally to what's happening. So we might see something like an episiotomy, and it might be traumatic for us to witness the episiotomy because the birthing person didn't want the episiotomy, and because it's a very painful, uncomfortable thing, and it's kind of graphic to view. But the person that's laboring might have determined that, yeah, I didn't want an episiotomy, but a healthy baby is what's important to me, and this is a step I feel comfortable with to get my baby out. So they might leave that situation not feeling like it was a trauma. But those who witnessed it might feel like it was a trauma, and they'll carry that with them. So kind of exploring what you might have missed can be an important thing, but it's also important to tread lightly with that question because we don't want to dive too deep into what other people were noticing and have it rewrite the narrative and create more of a trauma because they witnessed something. It's important to stay grounded in what your truth is from the experience. Their story is the extra credit. Yours is the textbook. That's how we're going to put it. Processing a birth is heavy work. It's like clearing a field of stones so you can plant something new. You can't do it all in one day. And new things are going to keep coming up. It's like, if we're going to use the soil metaphor, it's like I live in the Appalachian Mountains, and when it rains, it pours. It's a subtropical rainforest here. We get heavy rains, and things just pop up out of the ground. The mud moves aside, and all of a sudden, an old piece of a car or a glass bottle comes out of the ground. I might think that I've cleared everything, but all of a sudden new things are coming to the surface. Because we've touched on some intense memories today, we aren't just going to turn off the video and go back to our day. We're going to regulate back into the present. Let's do some orienting together. Look around the room that you are in right now. Name 5 things that you see that are the color blue. Can't find 5 things that are blue. Let's do green. Name 4 things you can touch that are near you. Could be the fabric on your pants, the wood of the table, your hair, your fingertips, your phone, the wall. Name 3 things you hear in this very moment. I can hear my dogs barking outside. I can hear my computer humming. And I can hear birds chirping. Name 2 things you can smell. And name 1 thing that you can taste. And then remind yourself, I'm safe. I'm back in my body. In our final video, we're going to talk about the care triangle. We'll talk about how to know when you need a professional therapist to walk the path with you, and how we as a community can support one another. Be gentle with yourself. This is really hard work.